brand new video. I am Mystic Wolfie, and we do have a guest. We have a pet snake in the video today, so say hi. You can see him. I'm gonna clear some up, guys. First things first, I have got a bit of a cold, so I won't be feeling the best in the video, guys, but hopefully I'll get better soon. So in today's video, we're going to talk about my animation, the story of Mystic Wolfie. Hope you guys have seen it by now. If not, it's fine, because we're going to go through it today. I'm going to break it down. I'll talk to you about part 1, what it was about, why I actually made that video, and you know, just a general gist of what I'm aiming for in part 1 onwards to part 2 and onwards from that, if I do end up doing that. So if you're new, please like and subscribe. That'd be grand if you would. So let's get started then. So part 1, guys, of Mystic Wolfie, sorry, Mystic Wolfie. I began to make, well, first things first, the actual my name on YouTube is called the Mystic Wolfie, so I wanted to like sort of make it make more sense, because when I first made that channel, this channel here, I changed it to the Mystic Wolfie, and before it was called MW5 Wolfie, so I wanted it to be different, and the Mystic sounds proper like catchy, so I called myself the Mystic Wolfie, and I've been that ever since, as you guys know. But I wanted a purpose, you know. I wanted it to be something more than just a word. I wanted it to make more sense, you know. Because when you make a channel, guys, you know, YouTube channel or Twitch channel, whatever, you know, you want your name to relate to your content, you know. But me, I wanted a story. I wanted to go with a story, so I wanted the name to fit into a story. So I decided to do animation. So when I started to do animation, when I first started, actually, I wanted a program. I didn't know what program to use. I didn't know how I'm going to do it. You know, I didn't know how or what the story was going to be at the time. But I went with it. I got Cinema 4D, which is a program on the computer, on laptop. In fact, I'm doing it on a laptop currently. And back then I didn't know how to use the app, so it was a learning curve for me, and it still is as of this recording until it's finished. So when I first started, I tried to watch animation clips of how to do animation, how to move a character, how to get rigs, how to get worlds, you know, how to make it more fluid, you know. But the thing is, with a lot of tutorial videos, especially nowadays, that they don't like, they assume you already know the basics, and that's what I wanted to know, the basics, you know. So I just took it into my own hands, and what you guys see at the very beginning of that video is my first attempt at animation. So what I tried to do is I did like a test animation to begin with before that scene, like a demo, shall we say. I don't think I have. If I do have the clip, here it is. So hopefully you did find the clip. I don't think, if not, then obviously you didn't see it. This will be unedited if that weren't a thing. I think I've still got it somewhere. But basically, a wolf trying to climb on, like up, what I mean, going up a few rocks onto the toppest part of the like cliff type thing. Where, do you know when wolves have the like caves with like a thing coming out of it? Do you know like Lion King, where it's like a rock and it's like that rampy part? Well, I tried to do that where he climbs on top of the ramp upwards. That didn't go so well, because I didn't like, every part of a rig has certain parts where you can like select it, and then that will move the arm. So the hand would be a part where if you click on the hand and you do it that way, it will move the whole arm. Do you know what I mean? So I didn't realise at the time that that was a thing. I thought I just moved it and it would stay where it is, but the actual bit what connects to the arm, to move the arm itself, kept going underground, so it was so far away from the actual rig itself that I had to try and chase these like connecting parts, you know, because without it you'll be able to move it anywhere, because that's what makes it move, you know. So I just wanted to like make sure that I could get them all in the same place. So like, let's say for instance I was making a character walk here. So every time his arm would like move and come back down, the part what makes it the arm move came all the way down through the ground. So the arm is here, the attachment's here. So if you move the arm, do this, and this pit needs to be here in order to make it move better. So that was a struggle. I watched it back, and if you guys have seen it, if I still got it, you would have seen it by now. It was a bit rough, as you can tell, so that was a very early stage animation. But when we actually cut to what you see at the beginning of the video, that was all in one take. So that was all in one project, so there were no like cuts or anything. It was all in one animation, and I started doing angles with cameras and stuff like that to make it more cinematic. So it kind of worked, you know. I kind of tried to hide the mistakes as much as I can, but I did end up making a few mistakes in that. But I take it. It went okay. Yeah, later on in the video, up to this point currently, and when I finish it, it will get improved, because I had to start on my own. I had to start with myself. It's only been me what's animated it. It's only been, well, story wise, it's my general idea and my like story, but I've had help from with it, so sort of direct it in the right path, because in my own head not all of it is reality. It's not all like making sense. I've got to twist it to make it more sense, it has came out of the better, so hopefully guys, when you do see part 2, it will end up being, it'll start coming together a bit more, you know. At the moment I do have a really good portion of part 2 ready, a 40%, not 40%, but like around 50% of it done, basically 40 minutes or a bit more than 40 minutes of part 2 animated. So I need at least another 40 minutes to make it at least 80 minutes, which means it's going to be like 1 hour 20. Part 1 is 1 hour 40. It depends how much and how long it's going to take to animate. So I need like, yeah, I need about like 60 minutes or something extra. So that should be enough if I can handle it. If I play my cards right, it should play out. And that related as well to the channel. Again, like there was times where I animated part 1 and part 2 where the laptop would turn off on me, and it would just, I would lose all the thing I did. I would lose everything I've animated up to that point, so I had to restart it, reanimate it, and hope to God it didn't turn off, because when I try and save the file, when I open it up again, like some of the skins won't have loaded in properly, or the actual rigs won't have like loaded in properly, the world won't have, pardon me guys, won't have like loaded in correctly, so it would have been really like weird looking, so I couldn't carry on with it, unfortunately. I couldn't reload it. Every time I tried to reload it, something else would go wrong, so it was really annoying. Not to mention my laptop, because I'm not always here. You see, and I can't save it, which means I've got to have a laptop on all the time, every day, all the time. Which it sacrificed a lot of things, including the battery on the laptop. So obviously, you know, guys, that caused a lot of issues, because when the charger came out, the actual like socket of it, it instantly turned off and didn't save anything. So it would restart itself and nothing would have been saved. At the moment, recently actually, I've got a new battery. However, the same thing's happened again recently. The battery has failed on me, so I can't take it off charge. One of the best things about it though, your fingers crossed, as I say this, it has turned off a few times, but if I turn it on straight away, when I put the charger back in straight away, it will save where it left off. So if it were rendering a scene, it would stay there and continue rendering the scene and then go from there. So, pardon me guys, I don't really see that, but got a really runny nose. So I kind of lucky actually to have that issue, because it kind of works in my favour now. If it turns off, I don't actually lose everything. But I've had one incident where it did actually lose everything, and that's because I left it too long. So now I have to catch it in time. You know, it's like a timing thing now. But yeah, it was mental. Yeah, so later on in part 1, guys, the animation kind of a lot better. But yeah, mental. Well, so yeah, guys, part 1, it's like, it starts off, it's a threat basically, and the pack gets surrounded by zombies. An unknown presence has sent them there, and unfortunately the pack gets surrounded by zombies. The mother dies, unfortunately, which means the father needs revenge. He kills the zombie, then he gets attacked, then the wolf attacks, baby wolf shall I say, attacks the zombie, looks at the father, mother, then the father, then he runs off to make it to stay alive. More on that part though, is making that part though, it kind of, most of the story, guys, is in the moment thinking. Even though a lot of it came in my head and I've already thought it through and started animating, but a lot of it changes in the moment, you see. Some version or so goes into it, but then it has to change to make it make sense. So what's in my head goes into the animation, but it's a different version of, it's like a variant, you know. So I try and get as most as I can out of my head in reality as I can. But I do meet a lot of mistakes, I do meet a lot of challenges along the way, and I still am at this point, but I'm going to try and go around it. I'm very limited, guys, with what I can do with that app at the moment, with my skill level, with my experience, and with like the things like very limited with, like, not only my skill level on the program at the moment, but like what like, what's the word I'm looking for, can I access to. So all these rigs, all these worlds, it's very limited of what I can get and use. So it's very basically limited my storytelling in a way, so I've got to work around it some way. It's very annoying though, because I did want a few scenes done differently, but it's worked out. I guess it happens for a reason. But yeah, and moving on from part 1, well, no, not part, yeah, still part 1, but from that part bit, you know. So when he's running through the woods, gets chased by a zombie, gets chased by a spider, gets attacked by a polar bear. The polar bear, actually. I wanted the little wolf to get attacked by a proper predator, you know. I wanted him to be... Because this wolf is something different, you know. It's like... You're born as a gift, like... You're born with a gift, natural, like, strength, you know. This is like... As a baby, is roughly the strength of, like, 3 wolves in one. So the idea of that actually came from my head, but that kind of idea has already been made in anime, in so anime Dragon Ball. So Broly, for instance, he was born with a strength what's not normal. It's above the average, like, Saiyan. So. And above, like, King Vegeta, well, King Vegeta, above Prince Vegeta, you know. So, you know, that idea, really. And Kung Fu Panda is another one as well, with Tai Lung being a very strong warrior when he was younger. And that kind of relates to Carl, which is the witch that my little wolf meets. That's the kind of same idea as Shifu and Tai Lung meeting for the first time. Only I took it in a different way. I didn't realise I was doing that until later on in the animation, that this kind of plot has already been made. But it's a different story. It's a different story with a different take and vibe. So it's not a copy, but it's the same sort of... I wouldn't say, like, no, it's not a copy, I wouldn't say that. It's more like a inspiration, you know. So I'm trying to think that, you know. So yeah, you know, so he meets Carl. This is after the wolf has been attacked. This is after his wolf everyone for the woods getting attacked by a polar bear. Polar bear, though, was a rig that I found it easy to animate, that bear, polar bear. But when I start animating, guys, especially these days now, that back then anyway, it only started kicking in, because at that point I was about 6 months in, or a few months into doing it. And that is only like, what, 7, 10, 14 minutes in at that point, from the beginning to that point. So it's mental how quick months pass in that animation. So yeah, at 4 months in, I learned how to make the fighting scenes more better, because I animated the wolf first. So I'd make him shake around like this, then fall to the ground. The bear, I would make him sort of link up to what the wolf were doing, and as the wolf would fly down, make the actual bear turn his head as if the bear had spit him out of the mouth, you know. And that stuck with me for a long time, so I still use that to this day, only it's a bit more advanced. So yeah, it's very, very experienced, like, you know, it's very good to, just a good thing to learn, you know. I thought, oh, proud of that, that's really good, that's a good idea. But then, yeah, he meets Carl, and the story is about when, yeah, you're born with a strange power, but strength. And he meets Carl. Carl's very, very suspicious about his wolf, and he wants to train him up, because, again, there's an suspected villain who we meet later on in part 1 called Colton, and Carl wants to train this wolf up to see how much potential he's got, because Carl thinks there's like, if he does this, Colton will, like, how will I say it without spoiling anything? pardon me. So very difficult to say anything, guys, without spoiling it. Yeah. So okay. I wanted Carl to be like a mentor sort of figure and a father figure to my wolf, and he went to a village. He trained. He went like. Carl's got ability to place decoys of actual mobs from Minecraft, you know, creepers and zombies, you name it. You can sort of, and it's like a fake. It's like half the strength of the regular mob. So training exercise basically. So he put a zombie in front of him. He went, right, go and attack it. Let's see what you're made of. Let's see if what I'm thinking is kind of true. If you're worth my time. Because in Minecraft, guys, you do realise, hopefully you'll realise that most witches live alone, and wolves live in packs, so it's kind of an odd pair, you know. So the idea of a wolf being with a witch, it's kind of like, that's kind of interesting. How's that going to work out, you know? So it does mention that a witch and a wolf together, people are judge, they're going to be like, oh, what's going on there, you know. But it's why that after that fighting scene with when Wolfie attacks a zombie like that the night, he goes to the village, local village, that the villagers actually know Carl really well, which is a storytelling which will be told later on in part 2. So no spoilers yet. So yeah, basically they know him really well. 1 second, guys, blow my nose. Okay, so as I was saying, guys, oh yeah, the snake had to go back in his vivarium because they're getting a bit lively, so trying to put me off what I'm saying. So he saw potential in this wolf, you know, and he wanted to inform the local villagers. But as he goes to the village, he gets surrounded by zombie mobs. Get it right, spider mobs. And that's the actual first time we see him fight. And I thought, right, what can I do with him? I want the standard throwing a potion, but I want him to have super strength. Something that would match a iron golem. Now, iron golems, guys, as you know, in Minecraft, they're really strong mobs. They fight off most mobs in Minecraft to protect villages. And obviously they're very good to use in dungeons and possibly in the new Legends game coming out soon. Legacy, sorry. Is it Legacy? Is it Minecraft Legacy? It is. It is like I think it's, I don't know. I think it's either Legends or Legacy. I assume they'll be good in that as well. So I thought, alright, iron golems. You know, throw them in there. So you know, the strength of Carl is a bit different to a regular witch, and that's to do with colton. So that won't be told in part 1 yet, or explained in this video until a later video. But yeah, he is on par, or maybe a bit stronger, or a lot stronger than an iron golem, than maybe, I'm not saying this video, his power hasn't been properly shown yet, so we don't know exactly how strong he can get. Same with colton. So those two are sort of not too sure how strong they're going to get yet. But in part 1, they both are as strong as an iron golem, and very, very good at taking hits and strong, heavy hits. So yeah, so he fights an iron golem. He informs a local villager called Frank about the situation. So Frank is the leading villager of that whole village. So they say, we've got your back if it goes wrong, because again, the baby wolf is unnaturally strong, you know. So it's kind of if it goes wrong, let us know. We'll try and help you out, sort him out a bit. So later on, guys, in part 1, we get to meet colton, and he is he's very demanding of answers. You know, he wants to get the answers quick and very quick, because when we first meet him, he's been searching for a long time for this item, what he wants from Carl, and he wants to take it from himself and get revenge on those that sort of betrayed him, and you know, so, but in doing that though, he's going to try and control the whole world for his own purpose, for his own sort of like happiness, and you know, not other people should suffer. So people will die, people will suffer, they'll be enslaved, and they'll be, you know, it's not going to be great. So brings us back to what Carl was saying. This wolf could be the answer. This wolf could be the one. And I think he mentions it in the actual part 1. Yeah, he does. That he might be the one to wield or wear the mystic cloak. So I think you know what we're getting at here, guys. So if you didn't notice that, the mystic cloak is the cloak you see in the banner, or the banner what was on before the actual the new one I've recently put on, and there's a special part of that what plays in soon. But yeah, that's the cloak. He thinks he can wield it, he thinks he can, if he trains him up, he can try it, or not try it, but sort of like see what happens with that. Not much to say anymore about that right now, but later on, again, Colton searches witches. He tries to go and find the witches, because it's kind of funny, like, because every witch in Minecraft looks the same. So I hope you didn't get confused, but the witches Colton actually defeated isn't actually Carl. It's a different witch. The different witches then. The only one what is Carl is the one with the actual big house. Oh god. So yeah, mental. Anyway, so yeah, he's got a demanding purpose. He wants it for himself. He wants to try and again get revenge on those what betrayed him and put him down and said he was no good, and Carl as well is a big part of that, you know. So yeah. So later on from that, we'll see what happens after that. Oh yeah, so he again with son.colton, he goes to a sand village, basically, where, you know, you go to like a desert area in Minecraft to see, like, you know, villages, a whole village in a desert area. So that's where he goes to see what's going off. He fights a few illagers and things like that, and goes to a village, and again, the following witch before that scene told him that a nearby village would have given him a few more answers, and you know, yeah, the main villager did. But turns out that that witch, the actual villager, lied to him. The actual village we're going to get sent to, which he did go to, is a village what hasn't been in use for a few months, shall we say, a few weeks, and sorry guys, my nose is sort of like betraying me right now. So you know, the village hasn't been used for a few weeks, a few months, so he hopefully the main reason why the villager told him to go there, so he can buy more time to get a plan going, because Colton's on the loose. and a big threat to everyone in the world in that area. I do apologise, guys. Seriously, my nose doesn't want to work with me in this video. Oh wow. Back on track. So yeah, it wants to buy a bit more time. It wants to sort of get a plan going to sort of prevent any more danger coming to all the mobs, to all the people, or the animals, you name it. So yeah, it goes to the village. It's an ambush, but before that happens, we cut back to the other villagers in the main village that it's happened. He's out. He's on the search for Carl, and Carl gets informed. He tells a villager called Norton, a villager called Norton, to go to the Woodlands mansion, which is obviously the Vindicator house, I call it, to get resources. He had to get a few enchantment books. He had to get an emerald sword, which is a few YouTubers use it in animations and mobs and stuff like that in the actual game itself. I thought it'd be good to add it to my animation as well. And I wanted it to have a good purpose, so I don't want to just show it and show it off. I wanted to actually use it in the battle. So he gets that. He gets the totem of regeneration, basically extra health hearts, which you do in the game. You get that, and you're granted with extra bonus health, and which is basically the same thing as you eat. You eat like golden apples, you get the same effect. So, although when you actually near death, I think was it regen you have? I can't remember actually. One of them, it does sort of prevent you from dying, doesn't it? Totem of undying? Yeah. Sorry guys, my chronology is not on par today. Anyway, he gets that, and he gets Lipus or Lapis. I think it's Lipas, I think you call it. Oh my god, my bad for the name mistakes. So he gets all the materials. He goes back. Also, he rode a horse called Barney. A very I want a horse to be in the animation, because a horse is a general thing you would use in Minecraft, travel wise. So get the horse in there, travel back to obviously Carl's house. Gears and materials. Carl makes enchanted swords. Thing is though, why I didn't use diamond swords is because it's only the first battle. So you might already planned ahead, you might already think that there's going to be battles in the future, which there is, but I wanted it to be semi-good, not the best, because I don't want it to overrun what's going to come later on. But yeah, so stone sword, enchantment swords, emerald sword, and there is one diamond sword, so yeah, it's okay. He gets the swords upgraded, so enchantment swords. But they have to go to a temple to get some TNT. I wanted TNT to be in it because it's a classic explosive item in Minecraft. So I thought, right, TNT. That will never get old. It's an OG item. It's always been in Minecraft. It's been a really helpful thing. So TNT. And when we found that naturally in a temple, you can make it, but I thought a temple would be a good idea. So go to a temple, and yeah. Got TNT, they made a plan. They informed the villagers what were in danger, because even though they weren't inactive for a few weeks, they actually was back in action in the village, making progress, catching up what they missed out on, because that village had to go and visit a different village that was struggling with crops and actually needed a bit of help. So that village was absent for a few weeks until everything got sorted out and they're back in track. However, they're in big danger now. So Norton and I think it's Frank, I don't think he left, I can't remember, no, he didn't leave, it's Norton who, and a few other villagers from Frank's village went with Norton to that village and informed them about the danger what's to come. So they made a plan, with the TNT and the swords they had. The idea from Carl's perspective was try and ambush him and do whatever he can to survive, to buy me much time as possible to do what I have to do in order to get like this wolf as strong as possible. So, pardon me. So once that happens, throw the TNT all in one go and manage to hurt him but not kill him. So that's when the psychopathic side comes out of Colton. I wanted him to be really, really evil and very, again, demanding. He wanted to know where Carl was because he thought Carl would have been at the village. However, he got lied to and he fell for it. So again, he got ambushed with TNT. Then they started fighting him. Pardon me. Started fighting. They started to try and get hits on him. However, the villagers didn't really have a good chance against him. Colton got the best of them until out of nowhere the Iron Golem stepped in, tried to fight him. Yep, the Iron Golem did manage to fight him a little bit until Colton got the best of him and started hitting him back, and then unfortunately killing them both. So it's a bit sad, you know. Because you think of Iron Golems as big friendly giants, don't you? So it's kind of a shame that they died there. But yeah, and then obviously after that, villager stabs him with an emerald sword, which is why I wanted the sword to be in a bit more longer. I wanted it to have a good purpose. Now stabbing Colton, one of the main villain, is very cool. So yeah, and I wanted the sword to be, apparently an emerald sword is a lot sharper and a lot less fragile than a diamond sword. However, I think diamond sword is a bit stronger than that. But yeah. Again, Steve, the OG default character, and Alex, the other default character in Minecraft, you know, want them to be in it because I've seen on YouTube that those two are together, got some sort of relationship going off, and they always usually are in animations like that. So I thought, well, put them in. But I've got a different take. I'm more serious with it. I'm more like grown up by it. I'm not as, this animation, guys, as a whole is more serious take. I try and make jokes, but I can't make it on the go. I have to think about it, although it does happen on the go. But when I'm trying to think about it, it's a lot harder, you know. But yeah, going forward, I'll have to try and get a few jokes in there, a few humour. But yeah, it's very difficult right now. But again, having Steve in the animation, it's very, very good, you know. Just because he's an OG character in the actual game, it's like, Steve, look at Steve, Alex, you know. Steve, at the beginning, I thought make him a little cameo, you know, show him for a little minute, but it turns out that actually made him a quite a good, important character to this story, and going forward as well, that he will be playing a big role. So not only did he show up at the beginning of the animation, he actually showed up later on as well to fight Colton as well, because I made people think like he came out of nowhere, he was strolling at night, probably getting food or whatever, and he saw the village getting attacked. And you know, us in Minecraft, we help the villagers, we try and protect them as well from the mobs. That's the same idea there. And I want Steve to go out through his life with animation, sort of like we do in the game. We start off with nothing, we'll work our way through, and Steve's going from like a young adult to an old man, going through the same sort of thing. And that's with all the characters in the game, not the game, the animation. So that's the idea I've got for that. Yeah, so we managed to get the best of Colton, but at the last second it does do an explosion with a lot of creepers around him, and he unfortunately he falls. Not fortunately. Yeah. He falls, and what's left of him, guys, is basically like the suit, but it's ripped up, you know. So yeah, we'll take him, they throw him in the water, and we'll go back to the desert village. Norton has been promoted the main villager because he did so well defeating Colton that he could be promoted to manage the village. If he can manage a team, he can kind of manage a village as well. So Stephen informs Frank, the main villager in where Carl lives, to say Colton has gone, he's fallen. Then he goes to inform Carl about it. Now Carl is a bit sort of, it's not shocked, but it's sort of like, I didn't think it would work, you know. But I guess if it's worked, then it has to have been. However, I think I should still carry on what I'm doing, because after all, as I know him, he's a very strong wizard, he's a very strong character, you know. So he's still got a feeling, even though he's fallen, that he could rise again at some point. But I've got to find out, guys. We've got to see what happens later down the video, the animation, see what happens, you know. But that's on a standstill, that's on a cliffhanger. But yeah, mental. Anything could happen, guys. We've just got to find out and wait for the ride. But yeah, that's part one explained. Talking about all those frustrating moments, I have got more questions to share, and I'm going to answer a few questions, guys, so let's get straight into them. So, why subtitles? I chose subtitles because originally I wanted voice acting, so I wanted to voice the characters myself, but I couldn't pull it off. So if I actually did that, it would mean that every character would have the same voice but different pitches. So it wouldn't have really worked out. It was still my voice coming through, so it wouldn't have really worked. So I just scrapped that, and I've really tried really hard to try and make that work. I tried programs, I've tried different voices on my own, but none of them suited the characters, and it didn't really work out, fortunately. So what I did was, still continue to do, is put myself in their shoes and write a script for them, and then show it on the screen. So I sort of try to act out as they would be, you know, because I'm not an actor, yeah, far from one, but I've got a gist of their personality, so I try and make that into the script, and so, you know, do like that. So yeah, fortunately, guys, I'm sorry about subtitles, it can get overwhelming, so that is why it is in parts rather than a whole video, you know. Hopefully you can forgive me, but you do hopefully realise there is limits. Like I said, there was limits for this, and still will be, to go through. Yeah, let's move on. So, spelling mistakes. So this goes back to the subtitles. Yeah, I did make a lot of spelling mistakes in part one, and I think a bit of part two as well, fortunately, because when I actually wrote that, it wasn't, it would be like, I would write it, I would type it up, but then it would sort of autocorrect, because I've got autocorrect on my phone and I edit on my phone. Which meant that once I actually proceeded the actual video on my editor, it would be in that it'd been hard coded, which means I couldn't change what we've already done, because every so often in the actual editor it would end up crashing, which means I'd have to save what I've already got, re-upload it and make it fade into the next scene again, which would mean that everything I've wrote up already up to that point would have been hard coded, which means I couldn't change it. And in order to actually change that, I'd have to put all the background sound effects in, I have to put all the things back in, I thought it would have been worth it. So, hope you can forgive me again for this bad mistakes. But I watched it all the way through before I uploaded it to YouTube, and I thought, it's not too bad because I still know what's going off, you know. So it's not too bad if you can appreciate that enough, you can still follow along with it. Because, yeah, let's move on. Okay, so the animation changes throughout the video in part 1, which will fade into part 2 as well. Well, once I start animating, obviously it's a bit raw, a bit too fast paced. Obviously that was my first time trying to edit and obviously trying to animate, you know. I figured out a way how to slow it down a bit more. I used pictures to explain when I was talking. It would mean that I had more time to actually make it more fluid and more smoother, rather than like choppy looking, you know. And you know, it's a progress that I had to try and go through. You know, I started all on my own. Actually, I just learned from the ground up. You know, I just figure out how to do this, how to do that, how to make that work, how would that work out, you know. So yeah, it was a very, very long journey. Still is now to this day, and we'll do until it's finished. I had to learn different ways how to make certain movements. So at the beginning it was very basic, the way they would move, very choppy looking, you know. Now it's more realistic. No, it's more realistic. Like there's more movement in the body. There's more movement in the arms, in the face. So it is evolving, and it's a long journey that I had to go on, and it still is. And I am proud of it, but it took a long, long time, and it still is. So I hope you did like it. I mean, for me, the part 1 beginning was really good. It was really good, well, like shot. So I've seen a lot worse than that, so I will take that as a compliment. You know, you didn't do too bad. I'll take that. Again, I was a beginner. You know, I'll take that, beginner, but not pretty impressive. So yeah, it does evolve through the video, and in this part 2 it kind of gets better after that point. So yeah, you know, it just evolved in itself because I learned new tricks, how to make a move, and make it more slow, you know, more times we did the actual dialogue and stuff. So yeah, it's a learning curve again for that. So yeah. So movement mistakes. Well, when I was animating it, I was met with a few problems. So because of lack of time I had to spend on it, I didn't have enough time to reanimate it. So I had to slow it down in speed to make it more fluid. I couldn't make it I couldn't remake that scene until later on after that. So some scenes didn't make it into remaking because I had to move on, you see. So unfortunately, part 1 I suffered a little bit with the animation movement. And looking back at part 1, I could have changed a lot of things to it. I look back at it now and I watched it all the way through, and every scene I remember animating, I think, oh, maybe just do that a bit different, I wouldn't perfect. But I'll take it, it's happened, it's uploaded, you know, yeah, I'm still proud of it, even though it's still a learning curve, and that's the progress I went on and still continue to go on again, as I said. So it's making its mark, you know. So yeah, there is a few movement mistakes, But again, same as animation, it sort of improves later on through the video. Appearances. So, as you might have realised if you watched the animation so far, that throughout the video, Wolfie's face changes slightly. Not by much. It's actually eyes what do it. And basically, when he's running through the woods, his eyes get a lot smaller, like this, very like squinty looking. And that's because I didn't realise and I didn't figure out how to scale him down properly, which meant his eyes were suffering. After that scene, the eyes went back to normal because I got to do rigging. And later on for that video, I realised how to scale him down properly. So again, that was a mistake there. It also meant that I originally had actually 4 rigs of slime cubes, which are not really hard to animate, but very, very weird. No, I really no, because you know, is it slime cubes? No, it's not magnet cubes. Anyway, I had to animate them as well. There's a scene where Wolfie sees one in the woods and he approaches him like this. But then one's waiting for him and he goes straight through it, and the other 2 spite out of it because it's split into 2 and 4. Well, originally those slime cubes did have tiny eyes, very tiny eyes, because again I didn't know how to scale them properly, which meant the eyes would suffer. And I couldn't settle with it. It didn't look natural, so I had to redo that scene completely. I had to reanimate that scene, and you might notice that the Wolfie's eyes have actually gone back to normal for that part. That's because that scene were like 3 months ahead when I originally made it, so I made progress again. Now, again, I couldn't redo every single mistake in that part 1 because it would have took too long and I didn't really have enough time to spend on it, see. Yeah, so that's why the appearance has changed. Again, limited with resources, that later on we're going to vindicate a house and we see a few mobs like that. The actual real rig for that didn't move right. The movement didn't work. You'd move the legs, but then the top head and the belly area would stay in one place. So it's like the head's here, the head's there, the body's here, but the leg would keep moving. So it'd be like that. So I couldn't use them. So I made them like a statue. Move the head like this, so it's still in shot, but they're not doing anything. So I had to make skins for a default Minecraft rig to use instead. So that kind of worked. Obviously the nose is flattened in, it's not a 3D model, but it still works. You know what the character is. So yeah, and that happened for the Vindicators. Also mentioned about the Vindicators, actual zombies are again a skin. It's not an actual rig, that's actual skin. And also the skeleton is a rig, but I can't move it either, so I have to sort of look it around as well. I'll have to figure out a way to fix that. Anyway, let's move on. So, we have got graphic changes. So, this was very, very frustrating to do. Well, at the time, I wanted to fix it. So you might have realised and seen that when the video starts, you would notice that the grass and a few things aren't as polished as it should be. So the grass should have been really, really better than that. It should have been how it looks in the actual game. Well, the reason for that is I was actually forgetting one step when I actually encoded the world onto the Cinema 4D. I was forgetting to open a Terran file. So, because of that, the animation halfway through changed because of that point I realised how to fix it. From that point onwards, the actual grass, trees and everything you see has sharpened up a lot better. So the water, for instance, you couldn't see through it before that, now you can. So it's been improved a lot. The release of the stress was just amazing to let go once I fixed that, you know. So yeah, that's why there was graphic changes involved in the environment around the characters, and in a few areas I did use a different Lightroom because one of the Lightrooms that I run, you see. So with different Lightrooms, guys, it affects the graphics on the rendering. So the one I'm using at the minute is very, very good. It just takes a long time to render, you see. Other one takes less time, it's not as good though, you know, look for quality. And obviously quantity is important as well, but I'm trying to balance them both. So yeah, that's why it sort of changed halfway through the grass and the textures and stuff, and evolved and go through it. So yeah. So PNGs in the power scenes, the attack scenes, fighting scenes. So in the battle at the end of part 1 and a few scenes before that, I wanted Colton to have a beam power and lightning power as a basic fighting skill, not his full power and him at his best, but him showing off a bit of his power. His physical strength is shown as well, but what entire powers. So the actual cloak he wears is filled with energy that's been with him since he was little. So all of his life, him fighting, him sort of training and things like that, has built up inside his cloak and made sort of lines going all the way down, and he can use that power to sort of defend himself, you know. So that's why I wanted him to have powers, and something will get better later on down the road. So I couldn't use actual 3D modelling beams or lightning, even though you can actually do that. I admit at this point I don't know how you do that, so I had to use PNG photos, and in order to do that I had to get the right angle ones, sort of go down that way so it looks like a beam down. Lightning was a timing issue, so when the lightning started to go off, lightning will be shown on the screen in different angles to make it look better, which kind of worked. But yeah, so some of the beams didn't fade in properly, so you still saw the outlines of the actual bit, and they weren't as faded as it should have been. But I know how to do that fading effect now. I know how to do. Well, the lightning isn't much of a problem. That's easy to do anyway. It takes a long time to do, but I can do that. But what I want to do going forward is improve on those two things and more, to make it more better and realistic, and you know, more better graphic looking. So again, a learning curve. Everything, guys, this animation to me is a learning curve. For anyone who starts animating for the first time, it's going to be a learning journey. So yeah. So guys, we are getting to the end of these questionnaires here, and we are on the last one actually. I might have one more, I think. Well, sound effects. So again, at the beginning of the video, for every step a character would take, I put in a sound effect, because on Minecraft and Minecraft Dungeons, possibly Legacy or Legends, you hear the character walk. So when the character walks, you hear the footsteps. I wanted that to be animation. I thought that's kind of cool. Make it more like better with sound effects when walking. But because having steps to talk, it was a bit too many steps, you know, so you hear it every second. In the games, it's more, you would hear it only a few times. When I tried to do that, it didn't really sync up right as it does in the game, so I couldn't really do that. So halfway through, I quit doing walk sound effects altogether, and it hasn't really bothered me since. I didn't really see a reason to put it back in. I think we'll do at some points in it, but not a lot now because it's not a big issue. So yeah, that's why sound effects were changed halfway through. The music changed as well to different parts. Now I reused some of the sound music. I actually chosen the beginning music as the theme of the Mystic Wolfie because to me that's kind of like the inspiration. Like, it's a very hero theme, like, the vibe of that is sort of like a hero warrior. So I like that theme. So yeah, and the other theme as well, when you see Carl, that's Carl's theme, that's his sort of presence theme, you know. So yeah, very thought through the story back then, anyway, the animation as well, all the way thought through. So yeah, all of it guys as a whole, proud of what we've got and what's going to get done as well. Oh god, my voice is starting to fail on me. Yeah, what else have I got to say? Go and watch it, guys. Give it a chance. You know, it might not be for everyone. There's definitely better talented animators out there, but this story is unique, and I think that's what is going to save the animation side of things. So the story might just manage to save the lack of knowledge of the animation through it all, but story wise it's a really unique story, and I hope you enjoy it. I definitely enjoy it myself. It's a pleasure animating it for you guys, and a pleasure actually, you know, being called the Mystic Wolfie at this point. And story wise, my head is just amazing. So the Mystic Wolfie, guys, is surely, soon but surely, going to be the reason why I've called myself that name. And it's for a story, you know, it's a really good way of doing it. Very exciting things coming soon, guys, from that, and just a normal general videos such as more different takes on S&P Survival series, more dungeons as well, that game never gets old. Legacy when that comes out, or Legends, what it's going to be called, play that as well. Yeah, it's going to be good, guys, it's going to be good. So yeah, go and watch the video, guys. It's been really well, it's been going well, and I'll see you guys soon, next time. Peace.